All right, Abhik, thank you so much for joining on the Creator Series with Amar. Thanks for your
Hi.
time. I hope you're doing well in this lockdown. How are you doing?
Yeah. Everything is fantastic. Yeah. It's actually, I've been more productive, I guess.
Oh wow, that's excellent. That's excellent. Oh, that makes sense because you recently launched an agency within the lockdown, right? So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Great. So we'll talk a bit about you and your journey during this discussion. So talk a bit about yourself. A lot of people know you in the advertising industry. Talk a bit about what you have been doing. How did you enter advertising to start with? How what have you the work that you've done at Ogilvy and now to launching Atomat,
No, so I have a very linear career graph actually, except the initial part when I entered advertising because I
Yeah.
was slightly differently qualified to be in advertising.
Right.
Uh, but once I entered, after that I have followed a pretty, I stuck to my ground and I continue to do what I enjoy and do the best.
Yeah.
Uh, so that is how it has been. Uh, and I have been into various advertising agencies right from Ogilvy. Before that I was in Low,
Yeah.
JWT. So I have
Right.
done the routes in the bigger agencies, and the very reason I wanted to do something on my own is multiple. One, of course, is a you know it's actually a very funny reason because I always wanted to be a college dropout, which I couldn't.
Yeah.
My middle class upbringing didn't allow me to do that.
Right.
uh, uh, Now that I got a chance, I said, why not? I should not let that pass.
Right.
But with age, I think you tend to find a lot of traction in building something rather than just maintaining something.
Mm.
And I was really inspired by very, very, a lot of my mentors and my, my industry gurus who have, in India and abroad, who have gone out and tried to create on something on their own.
Right.
I am obviously nowhere close to being as talented as they are,
Mm.
but I really get inspired from those people because they have done something, going out of the way, leaving behind a very cushy, comfortable, complacent environment, and
Yeah.
try to create something. And that's what really drives me. I want that to be written on my epitaph, that I have created something as against
Yeah.
I have been a part of an organization which has done something. Uh, that's the emotional and emotional reason for me to branch out like that. The other is a more practical and a rational reason because I have always been in agencies, big agencies,
Yeah.
and I have realized that over the years the entire need of marketing has evolved,
Yeah.
and I don't know how it's going to shape up now going forward. It's going to be even more extreme.
Yeah.
But there are the big network agencies which focuses a lot on the long term brand equity building work, and there are the digital agencies which are primarily driving ROI driven conversation and performance and stuff like that. Now as a marketeer you need a mix of both, and
Right.
because the hybrid talent doesn't exist in one kind of an agency,
Yeah.
they end up distributing the task of
Yeah.
the overall marketing,
Right.
and it becomes a marketer's job to balance the output of coming from various different agencies to fall seamlessly into the plan of brand building.
Right.
So there is a huge gap, and
Mm.
I believe that an agency of our nature, which is a very uh, nice mix of hybrid people who come from mainline agencies and digital agencies, like my creative partners, my
Mm.
mentor, they all come from different kind of backgrounds,
Right.
and getting that diversity gives me the strength and gives me the confidence that we will be able to straddle different extremes of communication requirements for
Yeah.
marketeers.
Right.
So
Right.
that's
So
how I
how many
launched.
how many people what is the team right now at Atom right now? How many people
No.
have gotten together to start agency?
Oh, so we have many people. We have three offices.
Oh, yeah.
We started out with three offices. We have people from right from creative people who are digital natives to content writers who understand performance marketing.
Mm.
And particularly my mentor and the chairman of the entire group is a person who comes from a lot of marketing and experiential background. He
Mm.
has been an author himself. He has been a
Mm.
serial entrepreneur. So
Mm.
that's one set of talent we have. We have data scientists. We have media people. We have people who understand social media marketing, not understands, who actually have done social media marketing over the years. So it's
Right.
a collection of those kind of people who have formed the team.
Hmm.
I myself come from a very strong, hard and hardcore brand building world of communication.
Right.
So that is what the team is about. And
Hmm.
we are not starting like a creative boutique shop.
Yeah.
We are a very strong network agency, which is the group agency called QED, uh, which has been there for the last 15 years and been
Yeah.
doing exceptionally great work in the experiential and event field.
Right.
And of course, our set of people who are from diverse backgrounds.
Okay. That's awesome. So that sounds like a great team to start with already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk a bit about. So you've been in advertising, and obviously it's a creative industry. Maybe I mean, if you were to talk about creativity per se, what? So you moved from a non. You did statistics, I believe, in your graduation, right?
Masters.
In your master's. So your master in statistics. So what is required for a person to be success? What kind of qualification is good for someone to be in advertising? And what? How do you create an ideal creative product in advertising?
Okay, so I think the beauty of our industry is that it is not built on stereotypes,
Right.
because it is a business of understanding the consumer.
Hmm.
The more diverse set of experiences you have,
Yeah.
the better qualified you are to be in advertising.
Ah. Okay.
So there is no degree. Of course, various disciplines like the planners and servicing people need to have some business understanding. Creative people, art people need to have a design orientation.
Hmm.
Writers need to have some basic understanding of language and stuff like that. But those are the basic qualifications. After that, what you build on top of that qualification is comes from your diversity of experiences and stuff that you have done. Uh, I have known many people who are, like I said, college dropouts. They
Ah.
have no formal degrees.
Right.
They are doing far better than people who are from big management schools.
Right.
So I will not stereotype that, but I will try to touch upon, you mentioned about creativity.
Yeah.
So in our industry, fortunately, creativity is not just a prerogative of the creative people. It is a
Hmm.
prerogative for every discipline who is involved
Hmm.
in creating that product.
Hmm.
um, you know Advertising, just like movies in the past, just like
Hmm.
movies now, it is not just a reflection of the society, but it is a medium to shape societies. It's till some time back, advertising drove the agenda of what social trend should be, what human race trend should be,
Yeah.
and not just follow it. But
Right.
unfortunately, over the last few years, the
Right.
consumers and the audiences have really moved ahead, and
Hmm.
advertising is trying to just catch up.
Hmm.
So for advertising to be relevant again, it has to become the torchbearer for the society once again, and that's where creativity has to show the way.
Hmm.
Creativity is about originality. It's about doing something which has never been done.
Right.
As long
Right.
as that instinct is there in anybody who is in advertising, I think it should be a great value to the
Right. Right.
production of the work.
Yeah, that makes sense because I'm thinking in context of, so I spent a year in advertising sometime back.
Oh,
So
really?
I
Okay.
yes I was in JWT for a year, about a year,
Delhi.
and
Delhi.
Delhi, Gurgaon, yes, and
Okay.
I was in client servicing for a while, and somehow it didn't work out for me because I saw myself as a creative guy, and I couldn't start out after MBA as a creative guy in JWT because I had a loan on me and all that. So because I wanted to be creative, because I'm a writer, I'm a comedian now, so I see myself as a creative person. But at that point, at least in account management, there were hardly any opportunities to be creative. So I understand that people say, like in the advertising business, that some agencies are creative driven. For example, people say that about Gilby, and some agencies are account planning, account management driven, like JWT. That's something people said about JWT even then.
Hmm.
What's your thinking? Like, what do you think agency eventually, the way I look at it, because it is eventually the creative product, well, mostly is led by creative people, isn't it? So eventually, creative directors are the one who becomes the C-suite in advertising, isn't that? How do you see?
Okay, that's a very good insight that you have, and it will be politically incorrect for me to comment on any
Sure,
agency, because
sure, sure.
I have worked in a JWT, I have worked in a culture like Low, and I have also worked in a culture like Ogilvy.
Right.
I can tell you, rather than commenting on what each agency's individual strengths and ways of working are, because
Yeah.
I'm all the three agencies that we're talking about are successful, very
Yeah.
successful actually.
Yes. Yeah.
So it will be not be right for me to say that that is right, this is wrong, or that is wrong, or this is right.
Mm.
But what I can say is, as an individual, I enjoy a creative culture. So for
Mm.
me, Ogilvy has been the best experience, because
Yeah.
they are, like you're saying, it is not about just the creative people who are driving the agenda of creativity.
Mm.
It is about every person along the journey is driving
Right.
the creative agenda. The one point focus on create on developing work in Ogilvy is, irrespective of which discipline you come from, is to how to make the product from good to great.
Right.
So when you come with that kind of a passion, every single input from anybody
Right.
really matters.
Right.
Uh, but yes, you're right. Creative people are the people who are shaping the industry, and who should be shaping the industry, simply because that's our product. There is no other
Yeah.
product we have. We are
Yes.
only taking out creative.
Yeah.
So in all like in all fairness, they should be the one
Yeah.
who should be running the show.
Right. Right. That makes sense. I agree because I've also read one of the books that lying right here is Ogilvy on advertising. I've read that book, and obviously I'm a
Oh
fan
yeah,
of David Ogilvy.
of course.
Yeah. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
Great. So how do you see talking if you just extrapolate this entire idea of creativity for a moment? I mean, people say anybody can be creative, right? Like, for example, even engineers are creative people. Google, for that matter, is a creative company, right? It's just that what you find, your niche, right? So, engineers, their niche is engineering. I mean, that's what they can be creative with. So, how do you think everybody can be creative? And if yes, what's the approach?
No, not everybody can be creative. I think
Okay.
that's what separate the people who are in advertising and who are not in advertising or media.
Hmm.
Uh, you cannot be, you should not be, and you cannot be
Yeah.
creative for the sake of creating. Some people are
Right.
excellent in being mechanical in their approach
Hmm.
to work, and that's the right way. The
Okay.
world needs every kind of people. If somebody is more left brained versus somebody is more right brained, that's what makes the the machinery going.
Right.
If everybody tends to become creative, then nobody is there to actually put a linearity or a a straight line thinking. That is
Okay.
also very important for
Right.
creativity to flourish.
Right. What do you
So some
what do you mean
engineers
by
do become great creative.
yes, yes?
No,
What do you
sorry,
mean by
continue.
mechanical in approach? What would that mean? Versus vis-a-vis creative in approach. What would that mean?
Okay, so creative
Mm,
sometimes, I'm not saying
mm,
always, but
mm.
sometimes defies logic.
Yeah. Okay.
It is a lot of gut. It's a lot
Yeah.
of what your heart says is right rather than what your mind says is right.
Right.
But you also need somebody or that discipline to come and put some senses into the gut feeling.
Right.
Otherwise everything will become an experimentation,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that it will be a huge waste of effort, money, everything.
Mm.
So the right mix of people who can think a little linearly, who can think a little mechanically, coupled with a gut feeling, which is the
Mm.
creative,
Mm.
that's what makes a great product. That's what makes
Mm.
successful brands, I guess.
Nice, nice, great. Because the reason I'm thinking about it, I'm right now reading the autobiography of the Netflix on the first CEO of Netflix, Randolph.
Hmm.
I forgot his full name. And
Yeah.
and that never worked. That's the name of the book. And
Hmm.
so I also think about it. For example, when I'm putting out a joke in the public, or when I'm putting out my book, for that matter, in the public, right? We don't know,
Hmm.
we think it's good, right? We before putting out something we think is good. How do you feel
Hmm.
about before putting out a campaign out in the public? Have you had? Are you really sure that it'll work, or do you know it'll work or not? Because there's a school of thought where where he says in the book that we don't know what will eventually work out. I mean, the ideas have their own life, and you may think it's good, obviously, when you're putting it out, but you don't know how it'll work out or not. How confident are you before launching a campaign?
Well, you're always 50% confidence. And if
Yeah,
you have
okay.
a 50% confidence, then I think you should go ahead and do it.
Okay.
Because the rest 50% is what your gut says.
Right.
As long as, I mean, I'm not saying it's a science. Yeah, it's not 50, 60, 40. Sometimes
Yeah,
you do
approximately.
something which you,
Yeah.
when you are very convinced and kicked about an idea, you sometimes get carried away and say, even if you feel 20%, you are there, you do it. But ideally, because it is obviously you're not doing the campaign on your own money, you're asking the brands or the clients to spend money. So there has to be some kind of a sanity and some kind of a discipline to really see that and to measure and also predict that there are high likelihood of a campaign being working on different parameters. See, its creativity is not the only parameter, right? There are different parameters for the output that we create. Some could be purely to sell a product with a promotion. There, I think it's more about the messaging, more about the right targeting and stuff like that. As against a more fundamental brand agenda driven work, which is more about saliency. It's more about people's how people take it. What are the senses we are triggering, so on and so forth.
Right. Yeah. Right. Makes sense. Makes sense. So talk about a couple of campaigns, maybe one or two that you really find inspiring. It could be something you worked on or somebody else's campaign. Anything that you found inspiring.
Okay, so I will start with some of the work that I have done, which I'm very proud of. Okay, some of the work that I did for in Unilever in Red Label Tea. I'm extremely proud of that. Some of the work for Bajaj automobiles, the Pulsar and the Dominar, I'm very proud of. I'm also very proud of some of the work that I did, many moons back on Airtel, very recently on Vivo, again many years back on Pepsi. So I'm proud of a lot of work. But since I have spent a lot of time in the past in Ogilvy, I think every product we used to put so much of rigor and heart into it that we practically were proud of everything that we did. Even if a brand didn't have a huge media spending, but some of the work like Dainik Bhaskar, Mumbai Indians, Escort, the BCCI, which is the cricket board. We are extremely proud of doing that, because even if it's a small budget, with a small budget, you have been turned around doing something which created a lot of love for the brand, for the consumers. Right. But outside what I did, I think I'm really fascinated by the work that Burger King is doing globally. And Fernando has just been crowned the CMO of the year. But Burger King work I really fascinate. There is a very, very old work by DTAC, which is a Thailand mobile company, which is called Disconnect to Connect. I'm very fond of that work. I'm fond of every Thailand work because they do really nice emotional stuff.
Yeah.
But those are some of the work that I wish I could have been part of at some point. Nice. And of course, the work on Cadbury's, Asian Paints, are something which is like everybody who has a little pound of flesh in that game were proud of.
Yeah. Asian Paints campaigns are amazing. I mean, they're beautiful. I agree. How about your inspirations at a personal level? What drives you? What has driven you? If you look at your inspirations throughout your life, have they been people? Have they been books? What has inspired you?
Okay, so I think it is things that really inspire me is creativity. Okay, whether it's in people, whether it's in my discussion, whether it's in my choice of holidays, whether it is in choice of conversation that I do with anybody. Right. I always look for that creative, creative senses to get ignited to whatever I do, and that's always driven me. The second thing that has driven me is team and people. I'm a very extrovert person. I love to be with people, and I love the fact I've always grown with the team, and that's what really drives me. That I cannot run solo. It's very difficult for me to run solo. I need people to join people or come or take people along towards doing something great while being creative in that journey.
Right, right. That's wonderful. I think that's a great way to look at it.
Hmm.
Talk. How about so? I generally ask people about how happy do they feel, because that's, I mean, happiness is one agenda that's driven me all throughout my life, and if the actions that we take make us happy or not.
Hmm.
So what would you say about happiness? Do you how happy do you feel with all that you've done so far? What are the things you would recommend to people in case they need to find their happiness in life?
Wow. Okay. So I don't know how to be objective about it because
Yeah,
happiness is a very subjective
yeah,
emotion.
yeah.
But if I have to give you my two bits, I think we tend to uh, set our happiness on one or two targets.
Hmm.
Like for example, for me, I derive happiness from the fact that I have been able to make my passion my profession. Okay,
Yeah.
for some it may be designations and power or wealth. So a happiness is a very subjective thing.
Hmm.
B, I think happiness, the definition of happiness keeps changing from one stage of life to the other.
Hmm.
So when you are a student, your happiness is about scoring great marks, robbing your girlfriend from your friend, from making your parents happy,
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
like that. But when you get into the professional field, or when you get into the professional age, your happiness may be derived from this entire drive of power and designation and money and stuff like that.
Hmm.
When you grow a little older, you draw your happiness from the family, friends, uh, kind of holidays you do, kind of
Yeah.
time you spend with yourself,
Right.
stuff like that. And when you tend to become a little more older, you try to draw your happiness from things that you could not do.
Yeah.
So people ride a SUV or a Harley Davidson when they cross the age of 45,
Yeah.
because it's a redemption. You want to get back
Yeah.
stuff which you could not manage.
You want to catch up?
Uh,
Yeah.
you want to catch up. Yeah, you want to catch up. But for me, I think the best way to derive happiness, and I am not saying it's the best way, but I'm saying at least
Hmm.
that's what I have been doing,
Yeah. Yeah.
is you hedge your bets. You
Hmm.
don't put your eggs on the same basket of
Hmm.
the definition of happiness.
Right.
Have 4 or 5 different pillars on which at every stage of your life, on which you build your which where you derive your notion of happiness. If you
Right.
do that,
Right.
even if you don't manage to tick all the pillars,
Hmm.
but even if you manage to tick a few, you will
Hmm.
still be happy.
Hmm.
So that's,
Yeah.
I think, is a secret that one should be driven, one should be very focused and ambitious, but at the
Yeah.
same time, the definition of happiness should be resting on many things and not one.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. In fact, in my book also, I don't know if you've seen my book. That's my book. So
Happiness is your skin. Okay,
in your
I'll
skin.
pick it up.
So I have there are 18 chapters, and every chapter is a way to find a different kind of happiness. So
Okay,
I
I
think
didn't
I've
know this.
explained how do you hedge your bets in case of, this is the way you can find happiness. So every chapter is, and I'm creating a storytelling series around it. So great, I agree with that. So what would you say? What would you say on a scale of 1 to 10? That's the last question. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy do you think you are right now?
Oh, I'm 10. I'm very
You're
happy.
10. Oh wow.
Oh, yeah, I'm 10. And
That's
it is actually a very binary.
Yeah, yeah.
Either you're 10 or you're 0. I mean, there
Oh,
cannot be a
okay.
middle way.
Okay, okay, okay. I disagree with that, but kind of we'll go ahead with that.
No,
All
that's what
right.
I'm saying. Because you're hedging your bets,
Yeah,
because you're hedging your bets. So if
right.
some form of happiness you're not getting,
Yeah, yeah.
you over-index the value of happiness onto
Ah,
something else. So
right.
eventually, it is either you're happy or you're not. You cannot
You're
be
not
saying
happy.
I'm half happy. I don't know.
Nice.
I mean, I'm sure you have a different point of view, and happy to discuss that.
Yes, yes. Great, 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 Abhi. Great talking to you right now. Thank you so much. Those are the questions I had for you
Thank you
right now. It
very
was
much.
fun. Thank you. It was fun discussion. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much, man. I'll pick up your book. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye.